kind of slowly gaining on us. And then they just keep getting closer and closer. And I was looking back, and I could tell that, they just see this 15-year-old kid dangling his head out of a window, looking like he just got kidnapped or some shit, completely fucked up, out of his mind, looking like he's roofied.
Like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system.
Yo! What is going on, guys? I'm coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be talking about the best crossfade that I have ever had. Now, this takes place back in my sophomore year of high school when I would have been right around 15 years old, and this story takes place on a Friday afternoon right after school. Now, my buddy who we're going to be calling Aiden for this video, I actually had the same class with the last hour of the day, so whenever the final bell would ring at the end of the day, we would usually end up moseying our way through the hallways together, figuring out who was going to give us a ride and, what we were going to do. So on this Friday afternoon, we moseyed our way on over to Jacob's car because I'm not sure if we had planned this before or if we did when we got in the car, but regardless, we went over to Jacob's car, and after letting the parking lot clear out, let all the NPCs get out of the way, we decided to mosey our way on over to Nathan's garage. Now, Nathan, he was in one of my previous stories, the pulling a heist on a city trash can story, and actually he's not even involved with this story outside of it, starting at his place, because Aiden at the time was living with Nathan because he had gotten kicked out by his parents. Even though Nathan wasn't there, Aiden was the one living there, so it was me, Jacob, and Aiden just chilling in Nathan's garage. And we were all searching for weed. This is one of the textbook days after high school for us, where none of us knew any reliable plugs or people who could get us weed. So whenever we get out of school, we'd spend the next 3 to 4 hours just hitting everybody up we knew for weed. Sometimes every day of the week. It was absolutely ridiculous. But on this day, we had spent right around about an hour looking for weed, I can remember. Because I remember it got to the hour point and I was like, fuck man, it's still been an hour. But luckily, I had hit up this guy I knew who we're going to be calling Mr. G for this video. And Mr. G, I had known him for a while. He had sold me weed a couple times here and there. He's an older dude that kind of lived 10 minutes outside of town. So, we never really went through him that much, but, Mr. G's, he's a G, man. I enjoy the guy. But luckily I had hit him up and he had offered to sell me 2 grams for 20 because, this was back in the high school days when we were getting grams, 2 grams, eighths, a quarter was a lot of weed for me back then. So he offers to sell me 2 grams for 20 bucks, but the problem is he was 10 minutes outside of town in this other small little town near my area. And, that's a problem when none of us have a car. We were hoping to find somebody who could deliver or maybe was within walking distance, but when he's 8 miles out of town, that's kind of out of the question. So now we have to find a ride to get the weed that we actually found. So now we're hitting up everybody we know who has a car and could maybe give us a ride. And after about another 15 or 20 minutes, the person that we're going to be calling Walter, who was actually also involved in the pulling a heist on a city trash can video, Walter offers us a ride. And, we kind of hit him up on a last-ditch effort because Walter, he's not the type of guy that we wanted to be getting rides from. He's a little bit crazy, man. I mean, I don't hate the guy, he's pretty funny to be around, but oh my god, man, he's not the type of person you want to trust your life with on the road, I'll put it that way. But after, another 20 or 30 minutes of trying to find a ride, we couldn't find anyone. So we bit the bullet, and we decided, alright man, we'll get Walter to come pick us up. So then we get Walter to come pick us up in his little Mazda B-Series truck, which is not a truck that's meant for 4 people to be going on a road trip in. Let me tell you, I mean, this was literally a truck that had, the front seats facing forward and then the 2 back seats were facing each other. It was like the little kiddie seats in the back. But regardless, we needed weed, so we were going to make it work. So we all hop in the whip, Aiden rides shotgun, and then me and Jacob take the back seat. And like I said, it was about a 10-minute drive out to town. It wasn't too long of a ride or anything, so we mosey our way on over there. We had to take the highway to get there. And then finally we get to Mr. G's and we pull up. And, before Walter even killed the engine to the truck, I mean, we could hear the music blaring from Mr. G's place. We were like, what the fuck? Is this dude throwing a house party at 4 in the afternoon? What's going on? So we go up and we tried knocking on the door, but the music was so loud nobody even heard us. So we just kind of opened the door and we're like, yo, and he's like, hey, come in. So then we walk in, and he has some chairs set up and everything, we take a seat, and he had already had, I think, like 3 or 4 people over there. I didn't know any of them, I just knew Mr. G himself. But, it was a typical Darty, man. He was blaring some music, everybody had a couple drinks, everybody was, passing a bong around, you could tell everybody was faded as fuck at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So then we're kind of chilling there, and I was expecting it to just be like a, yeah, man, let me scale out the weed, here you go, catch you later type thing. But nah, man, he's like, come on, man, sit down, So we take our seats, and they're passing around a bong, which, this bong, it was really nice. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was like I would assume he probably spent like $300 to $400 on it. It was a nice, like, bubble-based, old-school type bong, and it was really sick. But, there was like 7 people in this rotation, and they were just starting it off, so it was going to take a while to get all the way around to me and Jacob, who were sitting at the end of the rotation. So we're kind of sitting there, not even really talking, all of us are just kind of vibing because the music is so goddamn loud. And then, out of nowhere, Mr. G just goes, who wants a motherfucking shot? And then I'm like, fuck yeah, man, I'll take a shot. Hell yeah. And then he leans over to Jacob and he's like, hey, man, you want a shot? And Jacob was like, what? And he goes, do you want a motherfucking shot? So then Jacob goes, well, shit, I guess if he's taking one, I'll take one too. So then before you know it, we both said, yeah, we're taking a shot. And I was picturing, a shot glass. But nah, Mr. G, he proceeds to pull out a goddamn triple tall shot glass. Like, I am literally talking, this was a shot glass that was 3 times as tall as a normal shot glass. It was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, what the fuck, bro? But anyways, he pulls his bottle of whiskey out of the freezer, I might add, which, thank God, because if it wasn't in the freezer, I don't think I would have been able to take a triple shot as like a 15-year-old. But luckily, it was in the freezer, so it was all cold, went down pretty smooth. But he pours me a shot in the triple tall glass. I take my shot, they give it back to him, and then he pours one for Jacob. Gives it to Jacob, and I could kind of tell Jacob was, not really feeling too confident about doing this. I could tell he was kind of second guessing it, but he just said fuck it, down the shot, handed it back to Mr. G. And, we're kind of sitting there for a couple more minutes, and then eventually the bong gets around. And I am not joking when I say this is the heaviest piece I have ever picked up in my life. I mean, it was like I picked it up and it felt like it was almost gonna pull me out of the goddamn chair. It was so heavy. I was literally struggling to hold it up to my mouth and draw off of it because I wasn't expecting how heavy it was. I mean, this thing, God, it had to have weighed like close to 20 pounds, which isn't that heavy, but for a bong, that is heavy as fuck, and I wasn't expecting it, obviously, so it kind of threw me off. But, man, that's the heaviest bong I've ever felt in my life. I mean, it was ridiculous. So then I take my big-ass bong rip, Jacob takes his big bong rip, and then Mr. G busts out a scales out our 2 grams of weed, and then we bounce. And, this had only been around like a 10, 15-minute ordeal, so, I wasn't even really feeling anything at this point. And I don't think Jacob was either. But we were kind of starting to feel the onset of it. So just to kind of recap, Jacob and I took 3 shots in a bong rip. Aiden took a bong rip. But then Walter didn't do anything because, he did not smoke a lot. He had a pretty low tolerance and he had to drive back. And I remember it actually started snowing while we were there. So we were like, fuck, man, we gotta drive back in the snow? Oh, fuck, yeah, nah. Walter can't be doing nothing. So he was sober. So we start to leave town, and this is a pretty small town, so it takes maybe like 3 minutes to get to the highway from the middle of the town. But, we're leaving, and Jacob starts saying that he's feeling like shit. He's saying, man, I'm really not feeling good. I think I might start spinning here. And it was literally like 10 minutes after we had, taken the shot and all that, so I was like, what the fuck? But, I kind of try to convince him, like, nah, man, it'll pass, you'll be good, like, don't worry about it, man. And then, we get out of town, we hop on the highway, and then Jacob starts spinning super hard. I could tell just by looking at him, he was swaying back and forth, you could tell his equilibrium was just completely fucked. And then before you know it, he just leans to the back window of the truck and just rips it open and shoves his head out the back window. And, you know, there's no real way you can, like, sit comfortably and do this. So he was, like, all in a crooked, fucked up position to try and dangle his head out the window. And I was, like, trying to, you know, tug on him and get him back in the truck. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you gonna puke? And he's like, no, man, I'm so hot, bro. The cold feels good, man. And I was like, okay, I mean, you know, I'll let you do your thing. And then we're driving for a couple minutes, and before you know, there's someone, you know, like a couple 100 feet behind us, and they're kind of slowly gaining on us. And then they just keep getting closer and closer. And I was looking back, and I could tell that, you know, they just see this 15-year-old kid dangling his head out of a window, looking like he just got kidnapped or some shit, completely fucked up, out of his mind, looking like he's roofied. So I was like, Jacob, you need to get the fuck back in. Like, this person's gonna call the cops on us. Like, you can't be seen like this. Get the fuck back in. And he was just, fuck, nah, man. Shit. So I had no choice. I had to grab him by his hoodie collar, yank him back in the truck, slam the window shut. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm sorry you feel like shit, man, but you can't be looking that fucked up hanging outside of the back of a truck, man. So then at this point, we decide, all right, man, we should probably hop on the back roads just in case. You know, it's probably not smart to even be on a highway while we're like this. So we hop on a dirt road to get the rest of the way back, which was only like 5 minutes at this point. It wasn't a long trip or anything. And then at some point when we're on this dirt road, Jacob starts saying, fuck, man, I'm gonna puke. You need to stop. I'm gonna puke. And he hops out of the truck real quick. And, I mean, I'm guessing he puked. I don't know. He kind of went off and did his own thing for a couple minutes, you know. But then some nice farmer guy in a big pickup truck came rolling by, and he stopped and was like, hey, you fellas doing all right? Is he feeling okay over there? And we had to be like, yeah, he's sick. We're fine. Just, you know, we're good. Thank you, though. And luckily he drove off and didn't, you know, investigate anymore. We kind of convinced him that he just felt sick. So then, you know, Jacob pukes or whatever, does his thing, and then we all get back in the truck, and then we finally make it back to town. And then at this point, I get dropped off. I'm pretty sure I just had to go home for the night because my mom wanted me to be home or, you know, something like that. I had gotten dropped off. But I do know what happened for the rest of the night. So the rest of this story is going to be a third-hand account from my group of friends, but, you know, all of them experienced the same thing, so it's what happened. So after I get dropped off, Walter's going to head home, so he needed to, you know, drop off Aiden and Jacob somewhere. But the problem was, there was no way Jacob could go home, because he was way too fucked up. I mean, you could have looked at the kid from 50 yards away, and you could tell, yeah, that kid's fucked out of his mind. Like, there was no way he could even be seen by his parents, you know? And by the same token, Aiden just couldn't bring him over to Nathan's house because then Nathan's parents would be, you know, what the fuck are you doing bringing this fucked up kid in my house? So then they decide that the best way to go about it is to go back to the garage that this story started in and stick him in there. But, you know, earlier in the day, 3, 4 in the afternoon, it was like 50, 60 degrees out, so it was okay to be out there. But by this point, it was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So it had gotten cold as fuck. It was like 30 degrees outside. And they just shoved him in this unheated garage and just, you know, had him sit there fucked up for like an hour. Which, you know, I don't really blame them because they couldn't have done anything else. You know, it was either that or leave him out in the freezing cold. Or I guess they did leave him in the freezing cold, but you get what I'm saying. So then after like an hour of him sitting out there, Nathan and Aiden kind of realize that, you know, they're gonna have to do something with him. They can't just leave him in the garage all night. So they decide to take him to the quote-unquote heated bathroom that's in my downtown. And apparently this, quote-unquote heated bathroom was not heated, and it was even worse than the garage according to Jacob. So they stuck him in there thinking it'd be better, but it wasn't. So now Jacob's just in a goddamn bathroom in the downtown area, just completely fucked out of his mind, with pretty much no way to get home. And from this point, he pretty much just rode out the, crossfade. He rode it out pretty well. I don't even know how he got home. I'm assuming he either walked home or got a ride home. I really have no idea. But somehow he made it home and he was alright. But yeah, that's about all I have for today, guys. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my video. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and drop a like. Comment down below any of your crossfade experiences that you might have, and drop a subscribe if you feel like sticking around. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.